Hello everybody, my name is Professor Counterclockwise.
And my name is Mrs. Cuboid.
Today we will present the Mandelbrot set.
Mandelbrot set is a mathematical concept which is generated by complex number creating a fractal. To understand it completely, we will explain those following points: complex number, fractal concept, and then link to the Mandelbrot set.
Historically, mathematicians could meet equation square roots of negative numbers. For instance, x raised to power 2 plus x plus 4 has no real roots, whereas there is a solution. To find it, they created a special number, I. In the real life, scientists use it to solve differential equations in electricity system, or to expose polar coordinates to navigate. But Mrs. Cuboid, can you tell us what is a fractal?
Of course, Mr. Counterclockwise. From the Latin fractus, fractals mean broken. In fact, a fractal is an infinitely fragmented object. The fractal is very useful to represent a large diversity of phenomena, from physics properties to stock market. Introduced in 1975, fractals concept helps a lot in many scientific fields, physical chemistry or fluid mechanics, for example. The most famous example of fractal is the Koch snowflake from Helge von Koch, whose triangles create a beautiful shape of snowflake. We can also talk about a tree, which is an infinity of y, as Leonardo da Vinci saw. Fractal's perimeter is undefined, insofar as it moves towards infinity. Generally, fractals possess the self-symmetries property. It implies each part of the whole shape looks like the entire figure. The closer you look, the better you see a large number of replicas of the whole geometric shape. It's because of the reappear of the same shape at smaller scales. The never-ending pattern results from a mathematical equation which can be iterative, built with a loop, or recursive regardless of scale. To generate this infinity at best, the computer calculates over and over so we can see the scatter graph of the formula. Dear Mr. Counterclockwise, what is the link between complex number and fractals?
Finally, Mrs. Cuboid, we can link those points to explain the concept of Mandelbrot set. The Mandelbrot set is defined by a recursive sequence of complex numbers discovered by two French mathematicians, Gaston Julia and Pierre Fatou. It is called the Mandelbrot set because Mr. Mandelbrot was the first to represent this set on a computer and popularized in the 70s. This set is one of the more famous in the math world. Indeed, it is one of the biggest and more complex fractals we have discovered yet. It is also one of the most beautiful fractals we can observe. The Mandelbrot set is building by putting all the complex number one by one in the set of Julia and Fatou. In the complex number forms a loop. It's coloring by a certain color and by another if it's not, for example. This addition of colors creates a multicolored scatter graph. Then we can observe the Mandelbrot set. It is not unique. We can build a lot of variants by replacing the recursion expression by another with a different function, like cosine, for example.